Hello, my friends. I would like to tell you that I no longer fear death because the cruel and unusual punishment of what I am sure I'll have a lot of heat when my day comes. I know that I can manage it because we have had a incredibly record-breaking temperatures in northern Alberta. We're looking at over 30s, and I mean like 33 to 34, sometimes 35, for about 3 weeks. And that is unheard of. I do not know how people live in Arizona or Florida or, I don't know, Palm Springs or California or whatever. I certainly am not built to live there. I chose Northern Alberta for a reason, but here we are. So I no longer fear death. When you do bury me, though, please bury me with a bit of a fan, because that would be great. Whirring of fans, of course, is in the background, so I apologize if the audio is a bit off. I'm Lorianne, this is Stonehaven Shorts, and today, earlier this morning, because that's the only time I could stand to be out in my garden, I did a little bit of picking, and one of the things I did was pick a lot of the tops off my onions. Now, honestly, I didn't pick it, I snipped them. A couple of little baby purple onions came along with my dull blades of my snippers, but my plan is, because I really did enjoy it last winter, was dehydrated green onion tops. I'm going to be, while we're on the topic of oppressive heat for a long period of time, let's talk dehydration. I'm going to dehydrate these green onion tops, and I'm not going to do it in my house because that's way too hot. I'm actually not even going to do it in the garage because it does carry a bit of an odor. So I don't plan on airing out my garage anytime soon because it is one of the cooler spots that the dogs like to hang out in as well. I am going to set it out on the side of my barbecue because we do have power that's out there for the smokers. So I am going to start this as quick as I can so that I can give it about 9 to 10 hours. So that's what we were doing today, dehydrated onions, and we'll talk about dehydration as we go along, but I'm gonna grab my dehydrator and I'll meet you outside. Before we pop outside, I thought maybe we'd just do a little bit of kibitzing here while I quickly rinse them. Now, the one good thing about green onions is they stand up, so they're not laying in the dirt. They don't normally have any creepy crawlies on them, so it's just quickly a rinse. And I know that rinsing them might expand the amount of time it takes to dehydrate them, but I just want them clean, and I'm not in a hurry to have them dehydrated. So my dehydrator is round. It is not a square one. And there are some benefits of having a square one. In particular, this would be the benefit, because once I chop these and I put them in the round dehydrator trays, I don't have a mesh to put on top of them so that they don't blow around when the air is circulating, which is fine. It's not a big deal. We're talking about low air here. We're not talking about it burning or anything like that. And if they do end up on the bottom, that's fine. They're dehydrated even more, so that's fine. So what I'm going to do is not chop them so fine. I'm going to try and get them to about that size. Oops, sorry. To about that size, as opposed to something that size. That's all I'm doing to mitigate that issue. What I would like, I did do green onions a couple of ways in the last couple of years, and I am all out. So that tells you that I use them. I use it in scrambled eggs. I use them in meatloaves. I use them in hamburgers. I use them in several soups and stews, over baked potatoes, as garnishes. Sometimes just over top of a mashed potato or on a charcuterie board as a nice sprinkle. I use them lots. Now, not only have I dehydrated them, but I have also put them in the freezer. And it was kind of handy because about a year ago, I had quite a few in the freezer and had used quite a few. Oh, I have one on the floor. But I had maybe one tiny little Ziploc bag, snack size even, left in the freezer. And I had a knock on the door. My neighbor wanted to know if I had any green onions because they were going to make green onion cakes for a birthday party. And it was in the dead of winter, and lo and behold, I did. So that was kind of cool. So there's another thing you can make is green onion cakes in the winter time. So let me get the rest of, oh, sorry, before I sign off on this duty, the other thing that I'd like to do, and maybe I'll even do it with some of this dehydrated amount, is to make green onion powder. I haven't made any powders from any of my dehydrated stuff in the past, but I'm curious about it. So, hey, let's go along for that ride. And if you have any tips or tricks, I'd love to hear about them, so please comment. And the other thing I'd like to know is how in the heck do you beat the heat? Because I'll tell you, we don't have any air conditioning, and I have a love-hate relationship with air conditioning, to tell you the truth. I find that it bothers my lungs. I end up coughing a lot, especially when I'm in and out of air conditioning and it's not consistent. It's just not good on my lungs. However, having said that, I'm at the age where I would like to be cool when I sleep. And so, yeah, there you have it. However, our house is a bit large to be, putting an air conditioner in and thinking that we are going to air condition the entire place. We have thought about getting just a room air conditioner. We did have one at one point. Again, it's very noisy and I'm not a fan. So let me know, what do you do to keep it cool in the summertime for yourself, your family? Maybe it's during the day, or maybe it is just for an evening. Let me know how you do it. I would love all the tips and tricks that you have. In the meantime, let me finish up washing up the rest of my green tops. I don't have a whole lot here. And then we'll go outside and we'll set up this dehydrator. Hang in there. Now, before someone says, well, why are you doing this outside? What if it rains? La 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 la. Let me tell you, I would love for it to rain. But there is no rain in sight for the next couple days. We have a covered area here. So there's no chance of any critters or birds or anything getting into it. So here I have my onions, first of all. There you go, a nice big handy dandy Tupperware measuring cup. Again, there you go. Ooh, this is a little. And I just have just a cheapy, I think I got it at Cabela's, round dehydrator. And I have several trays. So I'm going to fill up the first tray. Doing nothing special. There's no spices. There's no oils. There's nothing. I am literally just laying it all over the tray. They're fairly light. You don't have to worry about, oh, too many layers. Nothing. It's just like that. So I will, that's it. I'm just layering it on like that. And there are a few that have already gone through, and that's fine. And then you just add, that's the lid. You just add layer after layer. I have also, for those of you who have seen on the channel, and if not, I encourage you to go and take a look at that video. But I've also done this with beet leaves. And I have used beet leaves lots. My family doesn't know, but it goes in almost everything for that added fiber, added color when necessary. So I probably will be doing some more. My beets, it's been quite a dry, hot summer, so my beets have not been as abundant. I do have a few leaves. Some leaves I didn't save because I still had some beet leaves in my freezer from last year when I'm doing well, I'm not going to call them cabbage rolls because they're beet rolls. So instead of doing your cabbage roll filling in a cabbage leaf, I do it in a beet leaf. And then I'll do it with just a broth or maybe a cream sauce as it bakes. Regardless, definitely can do this with beet leaves. And I'm going to do a sort of an ode to kale episode very shortly because I have one of the best crops of kale that I have ever had. And so I've eaten my fill, and it is not my husband's favorite. So I need to find some ways to preserve it. And I have a lot of good ideas. So we're going to do an ode to kale very shortly. And even if you don't like kale, I encourage you to just, you know what, expand and take a look at this video because I bet you are going to come up with some pretty neat ideas. And it's not a bitter, it doesn't have to be a bitter part of your meal. Honestly, for the first half of my adult life, didn't even know that kale existed. So, all right, I have 5 big trays and a lid. And I'm gonna start this puppy. I normally do it I do everything on high. So I'm gonna do this on high. I may tame it back because the weather is quite warm out here. So I'm hoping this will enable it a bit. And I'm going to leave it for a good 4 hours before I probably even check on it. And then we'll see where we're at from that. Okay, here's hoping. This is how quick and easy it is, folks. Hang in there. I'm gonna go take a cool shower. Ugh, hot. So it is humming along quite nicely, but I think we are a ways away. Oh yeah. So of course with the heat we do have some humidity, so this could be an overnight job for sure. I'm okay with that. I really am okay with that. So yeah, 4.5 hours, not done yet, folks. We will have to wait a little bit longer. A significant amount of time has passed, as you can imagine, with dehydrating. It's a tad cooler today, so yeah, I'm very happy about that. Let me just talk about heat when you're living in the country versus heat when you're living in the city. It stands to reason that it will be hotter in the city than it will be living out here on the acreage because we don't have pavement, we don't have concrete, we have kilometers between us and the next neighbor, so there's nothing that's really radiating. Also, there's nothing blocking the heat or the wind from the evening when it tends to cool. There's a nice breeze. So even though it can become quite unreasonable during the day sometimes, the evenings are always quite nice. So that's another one of the perks about living in the country. I digress. Regardless, here we have our dehydrated green onions, and I have layers and layers of these little guys. They are quite crisp. You should hear them. You can hear over my fans. You should hear them be quite crispy, almost like a potato chip. And on the bottom, you can see that I do have quite a selection that have ended up down there, and that's totally fine. My next step is to simply put them in nice jars and store them in my pantry. And that is really all there is to it. I know that you can buy silica gels and then packets, which I'm gonna look into actually. I've never purchased them, and I thought, that might actually work quite well. The other thing that I've seen is sort of an individual air suction for mason jars that gives them a nice tight seal. So hey, give it a whirl. I've done this for 2 years now, and I've never had a problem with them going moldy. They are very nice and dry. I can't say because it's humid out, I can't really say that I'm going to leave them air dry any further because they probably won't because it's so humid. Yeah, so I'm gonna put them in a selection of little jars, set them in my pantry, and that is it. It took a total of, I'm sorry, I don't know if I actually told you, about 12 hours. So depending on, you know, the heat that you have it at, if you get a collection at the bottom like I do, you might not want to have it at the highest heat because you don't want to burn them. So anywhere between 55 and 85 would be good, degrees would be good. What else can I tell you? Yeah, it took about 12 hours. I did have it outside. No animal came by. I would guess onions aren't that important to them. Everything worked out well. So there you have it. That's dehydrating green onions. Hope that you avoid the ordinary and try a little bit of dehydrating yourself. And until next time, let's see if you have any ideas on what you would like to have me try as dehydrating. Give me a shout, leave it in the comments, and maybe we'll get together on the next one. Until next time, we'll see you. I'm Lorianne. This is Still Hidden Treats.